Hi there and welcome everybody. You are watching the Q&A for Potluck. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a really interesting Q&A because it showcases two of CFI Education's most popular programs. One of them is Young Curators, where we train young people, students under 18 over the summer to play the role of film festival programmers. So I, together with 6 other young folks, Elizabeth being one of them, watched about 200 hours of youth submissions over the summer, and we were able to pick 90 minutes worth of programming out of that. So the other part of the program is the actual youth program that you're watching right now for the Mill Valley Film Festival. So the Young Curators put together this program for the Mill Valley Film Festival, which Potluck is one of. The filmmakers for Potluck submitted to the youth submissions for Mill Valley Film Festival, the 43rd edition, and got selected as one of the films. So Elizabeth, as a curator, how are you feeling right now about the package that you put together with your cohort?
I'm feeling proud of it. I think we chose a lot of good and like a variety of different films.
Excellent.
This being one of them.
This being one of them, definitely. I loved watching this short. It's very unique. Elizabeth, I look forward to your questions. Take it away.
Just starting off very general, how long have you guys been making films?
Well, I think the first film we worked on together was, what was that, sophomore year? Junior year? When was that?
I think it was junior year of high school.
Junior year of high school, when we made a film for our, we were in the same theater program, and the Thespian Society had a short film category that we were eligible for, and I was attracted to it because of the lower competition. You know, there were only so many films being submitted in this category of like theater kids who are also into film. And honestly, it's always like the low stakes stuff that makes you want to give your best work. You know what I mean? And it incentivizes us to actually make the movie. And then we started submitting it elsewhere. And yeah.
So you would basically say that like theater was the first thing that kind of inspired you to want to be in the film industry, or were there other different factors?
For me, I was making movies back in middle school, and because there was again just opportunities within the school. There was a school-wide film festival the spring of one year, which was awesome, and it was 2 separate interests for me. But then I was like, well, I've got a camera, I should direct people. How was it for you, Olivia?
Well, I mean, I would say like when I was a little kid, like my parents had a camcorder that I'd run around with, you know, but I never really planned on doing anything outside of that or more than that. And so actually I became friends with Jared, and then he was like, hey, you want to play a part in my movie? And I was like, yeah, I do.
What challenges did you both come across while filming?
So I would say one of them is that it was only us doing everything. So he was all of the characters, and I did almost every single technical element of it. And so that was the first time I've ever like used a camera. I've never been on the tech side of things. So like there were times when like doing the whip pans and stuff, and I would just like stand there and I'd just like cry for a second, and then I'm like, okay, we're good, we're done, we're ready, let's go. And then another thing is that the vomit was spoiled milk.
Oh, well, you just throw that in. You know, it's just spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the film.
Oh yeah, sorry.
There's a little bit of on-screen vomit. It's a good time. And it was supposed to be regular milk, but
it was spoiled.
But it was spoiled, and we found out after the fact. It was just spoiled enough that I sensed that something was up as I was holding it in my mouth, preparing for the shot, just waiting for the whip pan, and I would go, ah! Only after the fact did we look at the label. That's a fun story.
What would you say inspired you to make this short? Were the characters that you played like characters you've dealt with in real life, or just totally imaginary?
So the 5 characters in this film are loosely based on characters from a musical that I co-wrote. I did book and lyrics for, and my friend Max Reinert did the music for, which he actually ended up doing the little musical bit at the beginning and end of the film. So he has an original score credit on that level for his little 10 seconds at the beginning and end. He has this very like, I don't know, bossa nova kind of beat that is very nice. But the 5 characters are all loosely based on 5 PTA mom characters from our musical, which was called The Wrath of the PTA. And they all do have names, not just lady with blonde hair and lady with glasses, but they became the ladies. And I like to think, yeah, one thing that we were talking about as we were shooting was like trying to make sure that they all had different personalities, just because, you know, it would be easy for the lady with blonde hair and lady with pink hat. They were both they both had a little like passive aggression to them. They both had a little like, you know, like a controlling energy, and it was important to distinguish them. And I think we did. Olivia's direction helped quite a bit, making sure that I was keeping each character distinct.
So how much of that, I understand that this was based off of a play that you wrote, but how much like did you improvise that just on the spot? One of you was like, this is something good that we should add, you know, randomly.
Well, actually, so the script we wrote, we did not veer from in any way. Everything was word for word, line for line. One thing that we did change up was originally, since we had this long wooden table, we were planning to have characters sitting on the left and on the right, and one in the middle as well was our plan. And we were going to have all sorts of complex, like here, here, all the way across, here, 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 here. We were going to change it up. And we had it all drafted out. And then as we were in there, Olivia, did you say, like, I don't think that there's anywhere we can cut from one shot to the other between the side and the center. So the blocking ended up making even less sense than we originally intended. We wanted it to be a little experimental, but once we just simplified it to going back and forth, everything became extra mind-bending and nonsensical that characters would just teleport from one side to the other. The only thing we didn't do was pan from like the same character to the same character. That's the only rule we didn't break, I think.
Mm-hmm. How did you two divide up like responsibilities? Like how were you able to be like, all right, Olivia, I think you should direct, Jared, you know, I'm going to act. How did you guys decide that?
I'm trying to remember. I remember like that one day when we were just like, all right, there is a week left of summer. What are we going to do? So we were hanging out that day and we were like, all right, we're going to make a film. We're going to make one. And this week we're going to do it. And so I remember, I don't know if it was really like a whole conversation of deciding who's going to do what. It was kind of more like a dibs type of thing. Like I remember Jared being like, okay, well, I'm going to play the ladies. And I was like, okay, well, you know, then of course, like, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do wigs and I'm going to do makeup and I'm going to do your wardrobe. All those clothes are mine. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the directing was really, I mean, you know, if you had some input, you would say it. And if I had some input, I would say it. There wasn't really a lot of like structured, you know, dividing tasks. Is kind of, if you could do it, please do it.
Okay, more free form. Mm-hmm. What kind of film equipment did you guys use?
We used, let me see if I can remember the brand of my own camera. We used a Nikon and a nice, you know, a nice tripod. That's about it. We used a Rode microphone. We did not go fancy with lavs or anything. Of course, we didn't have another person to hold up a boom, nothing like that. It was very DIY, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And we edited it on iMovie.
Were you too familiar with iMovie, or was this like one of your first times really extensively using it?
I've definitely used it on many an occasion. It's my go-to. Someday I will learn like Adobe or something. Diluted Fear we did on Final Cut because our high school, because I was in the journalism department that year, they let me use Final Cut, which was on their computers, which was very nice. But pretty much every movie that we've made, I've actually gotten to a point, I'm proud to say, where I can sort of arguably color grade on iMovie, because that is a feature. It's not the best, but you can put a little blue tint or like a little sepia tint, or, you know, subtract some of the contrast or whatever. I'm learning.
Are you guys currently working on any projects or planning anything?
Well, over this summer, we did a socially distanced movie for a 72-hour film festival called Phantoms. It was a sci-fi. Our good friend Aidan Beasley wrote it. It was a great time. As for next summer, we have some plans. We're thinking of doing, and Olivia, maybe you have more of a detailed idea of what it will entail, because I'm still like, we want to make an action-packed feature-length film. Low budget, action-packed.
Mm-hmm.
Some some really enjoyable trash is the goal. Some like the kind where you're like, I can't believe I'm watching this, but I am entertained.
I guess going off of that, then what kind of genres do you find yourself like attracted to filming? Like, have you ever thought about doing something, I guess, more serious, like a documentary, or do you stay along like the comedic route?
I would say we are more drawn to doing comedies, or at least having bits of comedy. It's really hard to make it all serious. I mean, Phantoms was more on the side of drama, but I think there were still some parts that were a little goofy.
A few goofy moments, a few meta moments.
And then do you guys have any advice for young filmmakers or people just starting out?
There are a lot of free places to submit, especially at a young age. I personally, you might have a different opinion on this if you were on the board of people sifting through all the films and stuff. I've worked on a film festival once before, and it's just a lot of quantity. But it's my personal belief that as a filmmaker, as an artist, it is your responsibility to waste people's time. If you are like nervous that like, oh, I don't know if my film is up to their caliber, I feel like I'm going to get declined, submit it anyway, waste their time. I had no reason to believe that y'all were going to pick Potluck, but I had no reason to believe that you wouldn't. I mean, it's a weird movie. Sometimes people are like, this is horrendous, I would never pick this. And sometimes people are like, this is creative. These are people taking risks and doing something different. I think sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we put in the effort to make something new and original, and then you just have to close your eyes and get over yourself and just click submit, even if it hurts. And you got to just put yourself out there. No harm can be done. The worst thing they can say is no. Frequently.
But did you have anything to add, or?
I would say just along with Jared saying, just even if what you're making, if you think it's terrible, or you're like, this is the worst thing I've ever made, why does it matter? If you're having fun, just do it, make it really bad, and then make everybody watch it.
Okay.
I appreciate that piece of advice. Thank you so much. I love the short. I love the confidence. You guys just keep putting out good work. And like you said, also put out your terrible work. Get used to rejection and get used to enjoying being a part of events like like the 43rd Mill Valley Film Festival. Thank you so much, Olivia and Jared. Elizabeth, thank you for interviewing our talent, our filmmakers. Are you doing more of these interviews this week?
No, unfortunately. It conflicts with my school, my
Okay.
Zoom school, yeah.
Well, there are priorities still. Well, thank you all for participating today, and have a good evening. And thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.